following program is sponsored by PokerStars.com. Previously on the big game, the loose cannon has the pros feeling helpless so far.
Pretty sure Gonzo's gonna win this hand somehow.
And Tony G has not been himself.
Should have bet it.
Wow, Tony G has lost his heart and his commitment.
Scott Seiver's frustration was building all week
This is just not my day.
Scott just dribbling away.
before finally getting cleaned out by Gonzo last night.
I'm all in.
Oh my God.
Tonight, find out if Gonzo tries to break the bank
I'm about to kick it up here.
He's setting the bar like up here for every loose cannon.
or will greed get the best of him.
Good hand.
The cannon's wild ride concludes now.
Oh, turn the red back on because I'm going on tilt.
This is the PokerStars.com Big Game.
Welcome once again to the big game from Las Vegas. Alongside Joe Stapleton, I'm Scott Huff, where tonight some of the best players in the world will finish up the week fighting for the $1 million that remains on the table in our state-of-the-art poker room.
Viffer's been playing solid poker, but still hasn't found the cure for the common cold deck. He's down almost 60K.
The table's been questioning Tony's heart and commitment. You can't question his results. He's up over 41K.
This is Scott Seiver, the loose cannon's new favorite player. Scott gave him his last 35 dimes last night, and now he's stuck 100 large.
Daniel's been dealing with Murderer's Row to his left all week. He's stayed out of the way. He's still up 28K.
11-year NBA veteran Bobby Sura finally came off the bench to play some hands, but kept running into bigger ones. He's stuck just under 36.
The loose cannon's name is Gonzales Cannon. The Sacramento native has been crushing this game and plans to give any winnings to his family to help them recover from their recent financial crisis. Right now, Gonzo's up more than 125K. He's with Amanda Leatherman.
Gonzo, you said you came here to kill it, and so far, you've definitely killed it. How you feeling?
I'm feeling real good. I'm fired up. I know I still need to maintain my focus, stay humble. I mean, I'm real fired up. I just, I'm still gonna play the game though.
Is it on your mind to set a number that no other loose cannon can touch?
Yes, definitely.
Really?
I want to definitely walk away with some money, but I also want the passport as well. So now that, I see it is possible to set a number high, that's what I want to do. So, yeah, I want to put it out of reach.
Well, it's looking good right now. Good luck.
Thank you.
The loose cannon is staked $100,000. He keeps all money above the initial $100,000, and the loose cannon with the most money at season's end earns a North American Poker Tour passport worth $50,000.
This season, the loose cannon will not have the option to come back to try to win more.
How does it go? Today is a good day.
Oh yeah, that's the Ice Cube song?
Yeah.
Scott is quoting an 18-year-old gangsta rap song, which means it came out when he was 8.
Action on Seiver. Pocket queens.
Maybe today will be a better day for Scott. He went broke last night.
Makes it 1,200. Tony G calls with suited connectors. Viffer's out. Back on the cannon.
He's had plenty to be happy about this week. He's barely lost a pot.
Ace-king suited for the cannon. Calls.
Played a little ball, messed around, and got a triple-double.
Sura folds.
Daniel's getting 6-1.
Ace-4.
Ace-4 has bad reverse implied odds, but 6-1 is good enough odds for most anyone.
Folds.
What did I just do there with my brain? Change my mind 4
That
times?
seems no good. Where's the confidence?
To the flop. 9-3 deuce rainbow. Seiver's still best, but Tony's made an up and down straight draw. Seiver checks it. Tony bets 4,000. Over to the cannon. Out.
The cannon's been floating the flop all week, and now he stops in a spot where he's typically supposed to.
Seiver calls.
Here we go.
I thought Scott was going for a check raise, but it looks like he's playing deceptively to try to get even.
Queen of clubs on the turn, and Seiver has hit a set. And he checks it. Tony checks.
Still trying to set that trap.
Ace of clubs on the river. Tony G has made a wheel.
And Scott's trap has gone all Wile E. Coyote on him. He's probably loving that ace.
Scott Seiver cannot catch a break this week. Checks it.
Scott's going for a check raise. This is not going to be good for him.
Tony bets 10,000.
The only question is, how much more will Scott commit to the worst hand?
And Seiver check raises to 36,000.
I'd say there's a 0% chance Tony folds, a fairly good one that he could raise, but the 3 clubs may slow him down.
He just calls, and he's going to win a big pot. Seiver shows the set, and he's going to hate this.
If it didn't come a flush, I would have got it all in. I mean, that's how sick is that?
How sick is that? How unlucky are you?
It was sick for one of them.
Tony G happy to pick up that pot worth more than $84,000, and Seiver's tough week continues as we take a look at the big game rules. Each table lasts exactly 150 hands. The action pre-flop is pot limit, then no limit after the flop. Lines are 2 and 4 with a 100 ante, all of which is paid by the player on the button. And every player begins with at least 100,000, but can rebuy for up to 500K.
The first player to buy in for $500,000 this year gets a big game t-shirt.
At least I checked the turn. I mean,
Yeah, you're very kind.
Viffer will be under the gun here. King, queen.
I wonder if you bust the Viffer if you get his self-portrait t-shirt.
I want one. He raises to 1,300. Over to our loose cannon. Pocket eights.
Cannon's had plenty of playable hands all week long, and most of them have been connecting as well.
He calls. Pocket threes for Sura.
Sura's had a rocky week in both senses of the word.
What's the bet?
He'll come along. Ace 5 for Daniel. Out. Seiver out.
Oh yeah, the club made you 20,000 extra.
I'm happy. Then I'm happy.
He wouldn't have check raised the regular ace.
I don't understand the game, you know.
Ace 10 for Tony.
Tony complaining he didn't win enough on that last hand.
Calls. 4 players to the flop. 8-6-9 rainbow. Cannon flops a set.
This guy runs better than Carl Lewis.
Yeah.
Tony G checks his gut shot. Viffer checks. Cannon checks.
In general, I think it's a mistake to check that board.
Sura checks to the turn. Ace of hearts, and Tony's made a pair.
I'm open-minded, you see.
And it worked out for the Cannon anyway.
Tony bets 3,000.
Another perfect turn card for the Cannon. Tony caught top pair and lost equity.
Viffer's out, and we're back on the Cannon. Raises to 9,000. Sura's out.
Tony might consider making this call. The table's hardly seen any of Gonzo's hands all week, and Tony's got outs to a straight.
Should probably just move in and see if you got the guts to call.
He does.
Can't win anything if I hit a 7. Take it here.
Tony G folds. And the Cannon's now up over 131K.
He's like, man, I wish I had a hand that good.
Show us one.
Pick one.
Pick one. That one, he wants that one. It's an 8. Ooh, there was an 8 on there.
Yeah.
This is fun. He's destroying the game.
I know.
Absolutely the greatest loose cannon of all time.
We've been tracking Gonzo's play all week, and he's not allowing the pros to push him around.
The Cannon's still near the top of the pack with a 42% VPIP, but more importantly, he ranks second in calling pre-flop raises at 38%. Gonzo's seen a lot of flops and turns, and that's kept the pros off balance and earned him a huge figure without ever showing his cards.
Well, he's certainly made believers out of this table.
You still working out and stuff?
Me?
Yeah.
Yeah, every day.
Action on Sura.
I got nothing else to do, so it's easy.
Right. Well, I mean, a lot of athletes, when they're done, they don't.
But do you have a pension now? Does the NBA pay you a pension?
Yeah, when you turn 55.
Oh, he's only 55.
So you got a couple years.
Yeah, a few left.
Does everyone get the same pension, or does it depend?
Yeah, it's like $1,000 a month for every year you played.
Every year.
So you played
11 years, so
played 11
11,000
and a
a
half.
month.
You got paid for 13.
13 for me, yeah.
So it's going to count as 13 even though you sat on the bench for 2 years?
That's right.
Okay.
16.
But if you play that long, you got to worry about the pension. You did something wrong.
Yeah, exactly.
Sura's just called with ace 10, and Seiver's going to raise it to 1,600 with queen 10. Queen 6 of diamonds for Tony G.
Tony G's in position, but he's dominated in every possible way.
Calls.
And somehow Viffer's dominated by Tony G.
6-3, also in. Cannon's out.
How much is it?
16.
Sura seems like he's been limping to avoid a 3-bet, but he's giving up the lead every time.
Sura calls Seiver's raise, and we've got 4-way action.
Sura's got half the equity 4 ways.
To the flop. 7-10-7, and Seiver and Sura have both made top pair. Seiver outkicked again. Viffer checks.
Everyone but Scott drawing almost dead.
Sura checks.
This time checking's cool. Check to the razor.
Have you
Seiver
checked?
checks.
I'm not going to check this one.
50 tries at 85.
I am going to commit to the spot.
I don't mind.
Tony G bets 3,800.
Tony's taking a wild stab at this, and it'd probably work a lot of the time, just not now.
Viffer's out. Sura makes the call.
Bobby's been tight pre-flop, but seems to commit once he hits a decent pair.
Seiver's been in second place all week long. and makes the call again here.
Poor Seiver getting pipped, nosed, edge. Another classic example now.
King of clubs on the turn.
That's a bit of a scare card for everyone, especially Bobby.
Seiver's picked up a flush draw. Sura checks. And Seiver passes, as does Tony. 4 of hearts on the river.
Sura's in good shape, but I don't see him capable of thin value.
You'd be right, he checks it. As does Seiver.
Tony G with queen high.
Gives up.
I got a 10.
Me too.
How can his 10 ever be good? This is so sick. He's lost with the pip about 17 times in this whole week.
Sura wins a pot worth almost 19,000.
Every time someone has this, Scott has that, like right underneath.
I doubt that's any consolation to Scott Seiver at the moment. Stick around, Railbirds. More big game on the way. Welcome back to the big game. Andrew Robl's just entered the building as our first alternate.
Robl got into it with Daniel and Tony G back in season 1.
It's always nice when everyone else gives action and stuff like that, but you know, you can be the guy that doesn't, and it's all good.
Call the clock.
Bring your tricycle.
It's ridiculous.
I need Tony, calm down, please.
So if I shove it all in, do I get a bike? Like at least do I get a novelty prize?
This could make for a real interesting final few hands if Robl gets in the game.
Remember, there's more behind-the-scenes footage on the website.
Hey, Tony, did you used to play basketball in Australia?
Yeah, I did.
You were really good?
I was not good, but I used to play.
He played.
Just like poker. Yeah. I just battle.
9s for Seiver.
You should play against Bobby. What do you think?
I should. I'm happy to play against him. We should do like some sort of a show with him.
Yeah.
Play a little horse.
3-point shootout, yeah.
Are you a good shooter?
Bobby gonna start playing
I'm reasonable. I'm not sure if good. I mean, probably like not bad if there's no defense.
Seiver called. Tony folds.
Probably, I don't know, 75% from the 3-point line.
75%?
I think that's not very high with no defense.
Viffer and the Cannon have called. Sura's in.
He's like, yeah, whatever.
Pretty high by my standards.
Nah, that's not high.
From an NBA 3 or
No, from the
European
Euro,
three?
yeah. That's not high.
Bobby Sura played in the NBA for 11 years, and he shot 33% from 3-point land.
3-4 king on the flop. 2 pair for the Cannon, and Daniel's up and down.
I think it's like really good players can shoot close to 80%. No, really? You don't believe it? That's the
You
truth.
sit in the same spot.
Action checks around to Viffer, who checks to the Cannon.
Cannon must bet this with this many people in the hand.
I'm gonna bet you can't do 70.
Fires 3,000.
Yeah, I'm on your side of it.
Sura folds.
We go to a gym.
Let's go to a gym. Let's bet.
Bet.
I smell a season 3 feature.
And Negreanu will draw.
We do, yeah, I'll bet the whole stack. I can do. We'll have 100 shots in 4 days' time. I got to make 70.
4 days.
Seiver folds.
4 days, I'll tell you where. I'll bet the whole stack. Put it up.
Why can't we just go do all 70 in a row?
Viffer folds.
No, I mean, we'll do 70 in 1 day, but we'll do it in 4 days' time. We'll do it slowly.
What's wrong with right now?
I need to. I've had a lot of vodka.
Remember, don't drink and drive the lane.
Back to poker. The Cannon's got 2 pair, and Daniel's going to draw to his straight. 4 of spades on the turn, and the Cannon's filled up.
Gonzales Cannon continues to run like Godzales Cannon. Now it looks like Daniel's loading up for a bet. He might think he can blow Gonzo off his hand with a donk bet.
Makes it 4,500.
And it might actually work most of the time, but huffing and bluffing can rarely blow a full house down.
I never bluff.
All right, Robl, come in.
Now I have no move left.
I'm leaving.
Tony's off to start practicing his jumper, I guess.
Back on the Cannon. Just calls.
I really like the smooth call by the Cannon. He can let Daniel think he's just got top pair or a draw.
River, 8 of diamonds.
Daniel missed his straight, but since everything else missed, he might think he can take Gonzo off his hand.
And this bluff is a $16,500 donation to the Cannon Family Relief Fund.
Wow. Big blind, big blind, big blind, big blind, big blind.
Since you've been so friendly about showing a card, I'm also going to show you 1 card. Okay? Let's see if this is the one. All right.
Daniel shows a 5.
You get 1 card and 1 card only.
I've made a huge mistake. Daniel's just blown any chance he had of not getting raised here. This guy makes a huge hand, gets bet into, and then a pro shows him the losing hand. This is unreal lucky.
Oh, I should have literally. You can't raise. That's mean.
34% career.
Viffer's right to laugh. This is ridiculous.
Cannon stacking chips. There's the raise.
Oh, gross. What the hell is going on?
To 61.5.
That just made it all worth it, right there.
Oh, hang on.
Viffer, you agree, right? That was...
And Gonzo looks like he's about to explode.
The problem is I cannot call. So I have to fold.
Another big pot for the Cannon.
I had 6 high.
Yeah, that's why you got to re-raise anyway. Come on.
If you bluff that.
I know you didn't. I know you didn't.
Well, he obviously didn't. He had 6 high beat, almost for sure.
Gonzo's now up over 150K.
Thank you, Daniel.
The Cannon feels destined to be here because of his ironic last name. However, the origin of his first name has much more meaning to his family.
My name is Gonzales Cannon II. I'm named after my father. And my grandfather, Oliver Cannon, was in World War II. And the way I hear it, he was in quite a bit of a jam in the war, to the point where his life was at stake. And a couple of gentlemen came to his aid and they rescued him. And the 2 gentlemen's names were, one was Mardio, one was Gonzales. And my grandfather, he named his first 2 born sons after these 2 gentlemen. So my uncle's Mardio Cannon. What's up, Unc? And you have my father, Gonzales. So I'm just a product of some good people doing some big things back in the 40s.
Gonzo's obviously a guy with some strong family ties. He told us he's going to use any winnings to help out his family after they were hit hard in this recent economy.
And here's a look at the big Cannon, Gonzales Cannon Sr. looking on from the green room and loving every second of his son's success. Meanwhile, back at the table, Tony G's decided to call it a night with a $74,000 profit, and Andrew Robl has taken his seat.
The 24-year-old has earned nearly $1.5 million in tournament winnings and bought himself a BMW M tray as his first big poker purchase, which he totaled. Tray days later, Robl will begin with $200K.
As you saw before, there was some tension between Andrew and Daniel last season on the big game. We'll see if any of that bitterness carries over into tonight's action. The action will start on the Cannon, who folds. Big slick for Bobby Sura. Raises to 1,200. Ace-6 for Daniel. Out. Seiver folds. Jack-6 for Andrew Robl. He's out. And Jack-8 for Viffer. Re-raises to 4,400.
I imagine this is why Bobby's only raising less than 10% of the time to begin with. You can't really fold ace-king to a 3-bet in this game against these players, though.
Sura calls.
Daniel stretching his legs.
Viffer and Sura to the flop. 4, Queen, 9, Rainbow. Viffer now with a gut shot straight draw.
We'll have to see if he wants to continue with it.
Okay, so you remember last season, right?
I forgot.
We gave Andrew a little bit of a hard time for not straddling.
Yes.
Do you think we should all like make him straddle, or do you think we should leave him alone?
You know what I think.
What do you think? We should just start some trouble?
Yes.
Ah, Amanda's an instigator.
Viffer checks.
Sura with the best hand.
And Sura checks. Turn, 6 of hearts.
No help to Viffer's hand. He may smell blood now that Bobby's checked.
Me and Tony G ganged up
I
on him
didn't say
last
be
time.
mean to him, but you can still straddle because straddling's fun and it makes the game better.
But should we make him just him straddle and no one else?
No.
Well, how are we gonna do
Why
that?
would you
then?
do that?
I don't know. I'm trying to prove a point of some
Are
kind.
you happy to see him?
Yes. Me and Andrew Robl get along fine.
Yeah.
Yeah. People don't necessarily think so, but yeah.
Andrew had some choice words for Daniel in his blog after his last appearance. I wasn't mentioned.
And Viffer's bet 6,000. That's enough to get Bobby out. And even with that win, Viffer's still down $61,000.
That's what you guys never know, right? No, I love it.
We'll see if Daniel proves his point with Robl as the big game continues after this.
Andrew Robl, especially from last season, you guys all remember the big situation where he wouldn't straddle, he wasn't given any action, so me and Tony G kind of ganged up on him for playing slow and stuff like that.
You come to my game and you're wasting my time.
So you're okay with Tip being the only one who doesn't straddle in a game?
He was kind of just verbally abusing me.
You're okay with it? Because I'd feel kind of greasy about it.
I mean, as a poker player, you have the right to call the clock whenever you wanted.
3, 2, 1.
That's the first bluff that's worked for me in I don't know how long.
That is
How many in a row have I tried? And the bottom line is poker's a game of war, you know, and anything you can do to get on someone's nerves a little bit or get to them a little, you're gonna do. So I wanted to make them uncomfortable because, hey, this is a battle for money.
Yeah, I mean, there is, you know, a certain poker etiquette, but some people follow it and some people don't. There's no, you know, governing committee like dishing out fines for people who don't obey, you know, poker ethics.
Tony, high five for the assist there.
I mean, I don't know. I'm just here to play poker.
Turns out there is a poker ethics committee. They're ruling, hug it out.
Hey, Daniel, are you happy to see Andrew Robl back?
Love seeing Andrew Robl back.
Good. You
Absolutely.
guys made up? Everything's good.
we never hate. I don't know if he hated me, but I never hated him. He's a good boy.
Oh, so he's like a dog.
Ace deuce for Bobby Sura. Folds.
He's a good boy.
Friendly competition.
He's a good boy.
Boy?
Yeah.
That's like a needle right there, too.
No, that's not a needle. He's a good boy.
right, son.
How old are you, Andrew?
All right, son.
I'm 24.
So that's that's still considered a boy. If I can be kid poker at 36, then
You're not.
Hostess burn.
Daniel's raised to 1,200 here. Over to boy poker. 7-10 of diamonds.
Anything they want to.
Re-raises to 4,200.
This is how good me and Daniel are.
he's 3-betting me with garbage just to prove a point.
Not just garbage, Daniel's favorite garbage.
King queen suited for Viffer.
And he's got the best hand of the lot.
Such a nit fold here. But I'll let you guys have fun. Very nitty.
Not all that nitty out of
Yes.
position against Robocop's rep.
Sounds like you had a big hand there.
Everyone folds. So round one goes to Robl with the bluff against Negreanu, who's been unusually quiet this week, but he is up.
For most of the week, Daniel's allowed the table to run over him, ranking last in all these categories. Since Negreanu took a 107K pot from Tony G on hand 28, he's been playing passively. It's evident Kid Poker's been uncomfortable with his table draw, having 3 wild cards to his left for most of the week.
After 28 hands, Daniel's profit was over 36,000. It's now dropped to just under 8K. He'll be on the button this hand, and Viffer will be under the gun with 8-6 of diamonds. Raises to 1,300. Gonzo out. Sura, 9-8, calls.
Look at Sura getting loose, maybe trying to get unstuck.
Negreanu folds. Jack-9 of diamonds for Scott Seiver. Calls.
Surprised to see Seiver just calling out of the small blind.
Robl folds.
And there's a lot of domination going on here.
Seiver, Sura, and Viffer will see at least 3 more cards. Trey 7-7, 2 diamonds. Seiver and Viffer pick up flush draws. Seiver's his best, and he checks. Viffer bets 3,000.
Everyone's got a backdoor straight draw as well.
Sura's out. Action back on Seiver.
Scott with the better flush draw.
And raises it to 6,800.
Seiver's semi-bluff raising with the best hand. Makes more sense now that Seiver just called out of the small blind, keeps his range wider, and he can rep a hand on a board like this. We know Viffer's dead to a pair of running straight cards, but he's likely to think his flush is live.
Sure does. He makes the call. We're going to see a turn card. Jack of hearts. Seiver hits a pair, and now Viffer's drawing dead.
Now that Scott's turned a pretty solid hand, he may feel like he doesn't need to bluff anymore.
He checks it. And Viffer checks. 6 of spades on the river. Now Viffer has a pair.
All draws except for the 4-5 gut shot miss, so it's possible Scott could get a call if he bets.
He bets 11,200.
Scott's played this very well by checking when he hit the pair. His hand looks pretty airy.
Can I get some help here? No help? I don't get no help. Why do I gotta be the sucker to get you even? Say something, like, what's your birthday? Who does your hair?
Clearly no one.
You got me beat, I know now.
Viffer calls.
Got a jack.
Well played by Scott Seiver.
And it just cost Viffer $11,200 to find out he was right.
That was the quickest you got me beat now call I've ever seen.
So that pot gets Scott headed in the right direction. Still down about 122,000 overall.
Meanwhile, Viffer looks like he's got Seiver fever.
Baby, baby, baby.
Never say never.
Welcome back to the big game, where Scott Seiver has been getting the short end of the stick for most of the week. However, after getting the best of Viffer on that last hand, Scott took us inside his head as we go behind the poker face.
So this hand is taking place towards the end of the session. People are loosening up a bit. I'm down a decent amount, Viffer is down a decent amount, and I think this is affecting the way that maybe either of us plays, but more importantly, the way we both think the other is going to play at this point. And Viffer opens under the gun to 1300. Bobby Sura calls from the cutoff, and I call from the small blind with Jack-9 of diamonds. So the flop comes down, and it's 7-7-3 with 2 diamonds, and I check. And Viffer bets out 3,000 here, and Bobby folds. And Viffer hadn't been doing a lot of betting in this spot, so I thought it might be a good shot to take a stab at the pot and see if I can just take it down here. But I didn't want to raise too big, because I think if I have chip 7s or a full house, I would make the small raise as well. So I raised to 6,800. Viffer thinks for a bit, but not that long, and calls. The turn, I make a pair of jacks, and I think in check, and Viffer checks back. The reason I check is because I don't want to bet and get raised and not be sure what I do. My hand has a ton of equity if I'm behind, and Viffer doesn't have a full house. The river ends up being a blank. I bet just over 10,000, and Viffer thinks for a long time. He clearly doesn't like his hand. He's trying to get a read on me.
Say something. Like, what's your birthday? Who does your hair? You got me beat, I know now.
But he ends up making what I think was probably a call with a very marginal hand, and it worked well for me that I returned this jack.
Viffer made that call in the end when he rivered a pair of 6s, even with that win. However, Scott Seiver is down over $120,000, or a little more than one of Bobby Sura's watches.
Done with you, just done. I knew when Tony left, I should have left.
We were saying that the whole time.
With Tony at the table, your chances of playing a pot that could get you even go up significantly.
Action will start on Bobby Sura and his $105,000 watch. He folds.
Some nice bling bling.
Pocket 3s for Daniel. Raises to 1,200.
Daniel hasn't been raising much, and Scott hasn't been messing with him much.
King-Queen offsuit for Scott Seiver. Reaching for chips here. And re-raises to 4,200.
I take back my prior statements.
A 6 for Andrew Robl. Good to see you. Viffer folding. And the Cannon out.
If I say this shouldn't be too tough a call for Daniel, what I am implying, Scott, is...
he has good implied odds to call. And he does.
No, I just meant that he's a calling station. But he does also have good implied odds.
To the flop. 7 deuce queen, 2 hearts, and Seiver's made top pair.
Daniel with the worst hand and out of position.
Daniel checks.
Seiver outflopped Daniel, and he's in a great spot where he can keep firing and will oftentimes get at least one call.
Seiver reaching for chips. He's feeling it right now. Bets out 5,200.
Negreanu's got a heart, so his outs to his set are clean.
And he calls.
Daniel not ready to give up on the hand just yet.
To the turn, 10 of clubs.
Board gets even worse for Daniel. Still out of position.
He checks.
Scott should have no problem firing at this again, especially since more draws developed.
Looks like he's gearing up to do just that. And does 12,100.
Now, it's always possible Scott could be double-barreling, and then again, it's always possible he'll fire an even bigger bet on the river.
Daniel folds. Seiver's going to win another pot. This one worth a little over 32,000.
And if Seiver doesn't look all that happy, it's because he's still stuck huge.
That's how we do it. You know, just re-raise, bet. Internet poker.
Takes heart and commitment.
Seiver continuing to claw his way out of the basement, but he's still the biggest loser for this week. Meanwhile, the Cannon has increased his stack tonight and now has almost 155,000 in profit.
Bobby the Bus took down the Season 1 passport with over 181K, so it'll be interesting to see if Gonzo locks it down or if he goes for the gusto.
Right now, the OG original Gonzo's on his way out for a closer look with Amanda.
You make me nervous.
Nice
She's so
to
beautiful.
meet you. You're Gonzo Senior, huh?
Yes.
Nice.
Who's that?
My father, yeah. Yeah.
Get to come out and watch for a few minutes?
Yeah.
Not much longer left.
That's true.
Okay, off him with his
My dad never came to any of my poker games.
Well, you never promised to buy your dad a house.
Why do you think I didn't?
So as the session winds down, action will start on Scott Seiver. Ace-queen offsuit.
Scott may be on a little bit of a heater.
Raises to 1,200. Pocket fours for Andrew Robl.
Taking his time as usual.
Calls. Pocket nines for the Viffer. Re-raises to 6,000. We've got action. Cannon's out. Sura's out. And Negreanu folds. Back to Seiver, the original raiser.
We already heard Scott say he thinks Viffer's going to play differently, being that he's stuck. Scott's quite stuck as well.
Makes the call.
Like 50 Dave.
I hope.
Robl wants a count.
25, 45, 51.
Robl's checking out his implied odds. He probably wishes Viffer had more.
Double checks his cards and calls.
How come you didn't ask him how much he had?
I know how much he is.
You didn't worry about him? You know I just never have a hand?
I know Scott's losing every pot today.
All right.
To the flop. Queen, deuce, ace, rainbow.
Well, Scott's not likely to lose this one. Top two pair.
Checks it. As does Robl.
Viffer's supposed to continue here, which should be good for Scott.
And he continues for $11,000.
There's not a lot to protect against, so Scott may just call and try to let Viffer keep hanging himself. And it looks like Viffer may have given up on this hand already.
And it looks like more than a call coming from Seiver. Raises to 23,000. Robl's quickly out. Back to Viffer.
Seiver's made almost a min raise, which can sometimes make it look a little bluffy, and this board is pretty dry, so it's hard to be raising with a semi-bluff, which means either Scott's got a big hand or nothing.
And Viffer folds.
Correctly.
Seiver's back on the uptick.
And he drags a pot worth over $53,000.
You haven't had any ups.
Me?
No, none.
You won the first hand, didn't you? Say you flopped a boat or something?
Me?
He had an NBA career. It's pretty decent enough.
Welcome back to the big game. We're close to wrapping up this session as we've reached hand 142 of 150 for the week. Action on Andrew Robl. Queen Jack. Raises to 1,400. Viffer, suited ace, calls to the Cannon.
Where'd you go to college again?
Florida State.
That's right. That's right.
Cannon's out over to Sura. Pocket threes.
Charlie Ward, Sam Cassell.
Yeah.
That team made the Elite Eight in the '93 NCAA tournament. Sura's called with 2 threes, and Negreanu's in with king queen. 10-3 for Scott Seiver. He folds.
Played 7 hands in a row. Had to let one go.
Robl seems real impressed.
4-way action to the flop. 6-3 king, 2 clubs. Sura's made a set here. Daniel's flop top pair, and Viffer with the nut flush draw. Negreanu checks. Robl checks.
Good time to bet the come.
And he does, 3,000.
Bobby would do well to raise and start building a pot while he's got the best hand. In the NBA, Bobby shot 33% from three-point land, 3-3-3, set of threes, total glitch in the matrix.
Facing a $3,000 bet.
Raise.
Announces raise. He raises to 16,000.
Viffer knows he can't be drawing dead, but he's probably not in good shape.
Now over to Daniel.
16's a bet.
Daniel cold calls. Robl's out. Action back on Viffer.
Now, worst case scenario for Viffer, which it is, he's getting 25% equity against a set, which isn't that bad. And he's super short.
I'm all in.
He's all in for 43,200, and now the action's back on Bobby Sura.
Bobby's only behind the kings and sixes. He's getting almost exactly 3 to... What am I saying? He has to call.
Call.
And Bobby does make the call.
This should be a pretty clear fold for Daniel at this point.
What?
What do we got?
Huh?
What do we got?
Oh, I have a something.
Just top pair.
Your most likely hand here is 3 6s, Yeah. 3-6 is the king high flush draw. Who has that? That's you, right? You do, if you have kings and a flush draw, you're in.
Actually, I think he's...
And you got 3-6s based on your pause time. So I guess since I can't beat 3-6s,
Daniel hasn't put anyone on anything that should make him want to call.
Weird.
Daniel folds.
I have the flush draw.
Yeah, I know
I
that.
hope you have.
Threes.
You have 3 threes?
Good luck.
Good luck.
Let's see what we got, gentlemen.
I have the ace-7 of clubs.
They're going to run it once.
Viffer's going to need to hit a club or a running 4-5 for a straight, or he will be felted.
And if Bobby can win this hand, he'll be back in the positive. To the turn. 6 of diamonds, full boat for Bobby Sura.
It's over.
Full house.
I can't win. Gentlemen, I get to go home. I should have left with Tony G. Loose Cannon.
See you, Viv. Viffer. Always a pleasure.
Always a pleasure, man.
But you, my man, I got to shake your hand. For real?
Appreciate it.
You done outplayed us all. Good for you.
Appreciate it, man.
Take it easy, guys.
Later, Viv.
Classy exit.
So Viffer decides he's had enough for the week after dropping 150 dimes, while Sura now has a profit for the first time since hand number 25.
The interesting thing to note is that the two amateurs, Gonzales Cannon and Bobby Sura, are the only players currently showing a profit. The pros have taken a beating, but there's still time for some to finish up with a few more hands to go.
The LC certainly had an exceptional week, and right now his biggest supporter is in the lounge with Amanda.
I don't know if he knows this, but can you believe he's up over $150,000 right now?
Well, it's kind of hard to fathom. It really
Right?
is. Seems like he kept his composure.
He's so calm.
Yeah, I noticed that.
And you're so calm, so maybe he gets that from you.
Well, I'm struggling right now. I'm struggling. I'm jumping up and down inside.
That's awesome, though. Well, you're going to hang out with me and watch for a bit if you want.
Okay, all right. Good.
If all goes according to plan, pretty soon Gonzo Sr. will be jumping up and down inside a new house.
Extreme Home Makeover Big Game Edition. Action on Daniel, pocket kings. Raises to 1,200.
Robl's living with the fear.
King 6 for Scott Seiver. Folds. 7-9 of hearts for Robl.
Last time Robl was in position against Daniel, he decided to make a move on him. Looks like he could be considering it again now.
Robl 3-bets him again to 4,200. Cannon folds. Sura's out.
This time Robl's antics might come back to bite him. Robl's so tight, Daniel might think a 4-bet will get him some action.
Daniel re-raises to 13,800.
I assume this is where we'll see that tight Andrew Robl everyone keeps telling me about.
13-8.
Any second now. Should be a robo fold.
You have like 170.
Daniel doesn't like to count it out, but he will show his chips.
And Andrew calls.
Wow, he's really got it in for Daniel.
Got to figure some history is playing a role here.
7-9 suited does have decent implied odds for snapping off kings.
So Daniel and Robl to the flop. 4-10 ace, 2 spades. Daniel's still best.
Always an ace on the flop when you have kings. Can't imagine either one of these guys is in love with this flop. Daniel's in a particularly bad spot because he's out of position.
He checks.
Robl trying to rep a big hand pre-flop. Let's see if he tries to steal it away from Daniel now.
Nope, he's going to check.
Robl treading lightly against his nemesis.
The turn, queen of spades.
This board just got even more gross for Daniel's hand.
$22.
He bets 22,000. Robl insta-mucks.
It's an awful board for 2 kings with no spade. Don't you think? But whatever.
Whatever, I won. Haha.
Daniel happy to capitalize on Robl's misstep.
As it got worse, I bet.
Daniel gets a little revenge on Robl here, while our Cannon just a few hands away from a huge payday if he can hang on. We're coming right back. Welcome back to the big game, where the first loose cannon of season number 2, Gonzales Cannon, is closing in on a tidy profit and hopes it'll be enough to take home the NAPT passport as well.
It's some much-needed money for Gonzo, who says it will help his parents who suffered a setback during the recent financial crisis.
Gonzales Cannon Sr. looking on to see how things end up. Action will start here on Andrew Robl, ace-7 offsuit. Folds. Cannon, king-10. Calls.
Cannon's limping. Maybe he's going to play a little tighter now, try to protect that lead.
Sura folds Negreanu. Daniel with Dolly Parton completes. Queen 5 for Scott Seiver. Checks his option.
The pros know the Cannon may tighten up as well, so they may start taking some shots at him.
Three-way action of the flop. 8 king queen. Cannon's made top pair. Negreanu checks. Seiver checks middle pair.
The Cannon's hot streak continues.
And Cannon bets 1,500.
Oh, God.
Daniel's out.
He's not slowing down at all, still betting top pair. I admire the gumption.
And Seiver makes the call.
We'll see if that call slows Gonzo down at all.
Heads up to the turn, 8 of spades. Check, check.
He does slow down.
River, 7 of clubs. Seiver checks again.
Gonzo should be able to value bet this pretty comfortably.
Cannon bets it. Seiver says, don't shoot. Cannon drags another pot. Shows a king.
Show a king there? Yeah. What else is new?
What else is new?
What else is new? How about an incredible run for Gonzales Cannon, the Cannon?
This count might hold up.
The loose cannon caps things off in fitting style after dominating this table all week long. Gonzo will take home more than $155,000, while the remaining pros did not fare as well.
Gonzo's posted an impressive number to beat for the NAPT passport, but as we learned in Season 1, you never count your money till the dealing's done.
Right now, Amanda's with a very happy Gonzales Cannon.
Gonzo, when this game started, did you ever think you would be able to take that table for over $155,000?
I'm speechless. I mean, I feel like dancing. I'm happy. I'm excited. You know, I'm humbled. But at the same time, I mean, I'm just thrilled at this opportunity. I'm glad I was able to, you know, come out and play my game, because I knew I had what it takes to be here. So I'm glad it changed.
You definitely did. How much good can this money do for your family?
It's going to do a lot. You know, get our family back on our feet and moving in the right direction. So.
Well, you can dance now if you want.
Oh, let me stop. Don't let me start.
Dad, come on out. Give him a hug.
I'll cut all this up now.
All right, guys, Gonzales Cannon has set a number that's going to be hard for any other loose cannon to catch. I'm Amanda Leatherman saying goodbye for now. And remember, if you've got the cash and the guts, there's always a seat open at the big game. Good night, everybody.
For Stapes, this is Huff saying so long from Vegas.
I think one of the best players at the table was probably the loose cannon.
He was in there, you know, mixing it up with raises, playing aggressive, check raising, doing some bluffing.
I think people were a little befuddled and unsure what was going on.
Just my hat's off to him, man. He really played like a loose cannon should.
I was not intimidated. I didn't have any fear. I played my game, and it worked.
He did everything right. That's what poker's all about.
I just won $155,200 at the big game. 155,200 exclamation point.
The preceding program was sponsored by PokerStars.com.